Good afternoon. Welcome to the Town of Smyrna Municipal Planning Commission meeting for August 7th, 2025. I'll call the meeting to order. We're going to be led tonight in prayer by Mark Atkins, and Matt will lead us in the pledge. So I'm going to like to stand, please.
You would bow with me, please. Lord in heaven, we just come to you this afternoon, Father, and just grateful for another day here in our town. Father, we ask that you continue to watch over our city, watch over our citizens, and continue to bless us as you have. Father, our first responders, fire department, police department, they put their lives on the line every day. Father, we ask for a hedge of protection around all of them as they do their work. And for all the other employees of our town who go out and make the town beautiful, do the road work, cut the grass, anything all of our employees do, Father, we appreciate. We ask your blessings upon them and their families as well. Go with us now as we deliberate the business of the town. Forgive us where we fail you. We ask these things in your precious name. Amen.
Everyone face the flag and join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mark and Matt. Under citizens' comments tonight, Kevin, I see that we have 3 people who have signed up.
Yes.
Okay, and for our speakers, as you come up tonight, I'll remind everyone the town's public comment period shall be reserved for those citizens that have signed up to address a board or committee at least 24 hours in advance of the meeting pursuant to the town's comment policy. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Additional comments, if you need to say things beyond the 3 minutes, you can submit those in writing. Catherine will be our timekeeper. And with that, the first person I have on our agenda is Teresa Stewart Fitzgerald, 6586 Lee Road. And that's in Smyrna. So if you'll come up, and since I read all that, if you'll just confirm whether or not you're within the city limits.
I actually have 2 properties. The 6586 is in the county. But I also live at 108 Hutchinson Drive in the city limits.
Very good.
But,
So,
yes.
Yep, with that, we'll let you talk, Teresa.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And I guess I should start with, got an email from Kevin's office that his office will recommend that the Hidden Springs final plat be deferred till next month. That's what I was coming to speak on. And then I came, so if there's any questions, I'd be here to answer them as well.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, thank you, Teresa.
You saved that in 3 minutes. That was pretty good.
Next up, we have Stephen Taylor. Is there Stephen Taylor here? Okay. Next, we have Simeon Pantagatos. Very good. Come up and give us your name. I think I got it.
My name is Simeon Pantagatos. I currently reside 611 Tammy Circle, Nancy's Place. But previously to that, I was discharged, Sergeant Pantagatos discharged from this base in 1968. So I go way back, then traveled a lot with the Veterans Administration.
Well, thank you for your service, and I
You're
know with
welcome.
that, you
You're
are
welcome.
within the town
my
limits
wife's
as
family
far.
goes back even further. I was almost as far back as some of these pictures. So as far as Smyrna goes. But what I'm here to talk about is the way green space is apportioned out in this town. I've talked with people in administration in the past, and I often jokingly said we should have a bulldozer on the Great Seal of the town of Smyrna, because it seems like all I see is beautiful things being flattened out, and then we pay or the people who do the construction pay nurseries come in and plant a few dozen, nursery trees. I think there needs to be better stewardship, custodianship of our green spaces. They're essential for human health, for human physical and mental health. They keep a city cooler. They affect energy costs, and I've seen so many old trees gone down, and you won't replace those in a lifetime. There's got to be a better way. Rather than having construction gone right up to 20 feet of the sidewalk. Seems like people come in to develop. They wanted to put as many units either for rental or for mortgaging in this acreage allotted. I just see a lot of disregard. Hundreds of acres. We have currently 800 acres in our park system. We have a town of about roughly 21,000 acres. Look at the ratio there. I mean, that's good. The parks, for what they're intended, are doing well, but we don't have small areas. I see wildlife driven out, running around in places where it shouldn't be because they no longer natural cover. I have a background in biology, so I know what I'm talking about. I think there's a problem, and I've kept quiet for so long. I apologize for that. But that's basically what I want to say, is that when people come in, we need to, an average of 17% of acreage should be set aside for green, either recreational or natural areas. Just leave them like they are so that they provide refuge for wildlife. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
We had one additional person, Patrick Duchesne, he and his wife had submitted comments in writing, and so they were not able to be here tonight, and so those were submitted and are in
And I
front
think
of
we
you
all
now.
have a copy of that.
That is correct.
All right,
I
very
just
good.
wanted to make note of that.
Okay, we are now on to our next agenda item, which is approval of corrections of the minutes, and this will be for the July 1, 2025 regular meeting and the July 31 quarterly joint workshop meeting. Counselor, are the meeting minutes in order?
In order as to form, unless you have any recommended changes you'd like to make.
We'll ask the commission, are there any changes or discussion concerning the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve the minutes, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. We are now on to old business. The first item is annexation, zoning, and plan of service request, 452 Properties LLC, Bill France Road and I-840 annexation and PUD zoning request. Kevin, there's a note here that staff is recommending a deferral until September. Is it staff or is it the developers asking?
Well, that was a staff recommendation. We did talk with the developer. They're well aware of it and agreed to it as well. So we're still working through some issues on the sewer agreement and other things. So we would recommend one more deferral to the September meeting.
Okay. Any questions or comments concerning this deferral request?
Make the motion to defer until our September meeting.
I have a motion to defer until the September meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All of those in favor of deferring this annexation, zoning, and plan of service request, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved, and this has been deferred until September. On to new business now. Our first item is a rezoning request from Gamble Design Collaborative, Rocky Fork, Elmville, and Briley Road, rezoning R3 to PRD and PRD amendment.
Yeah, this is a request. It's an existing approved PRD there along Rocky Fork Elmville Road called Briley Downs. And this is a request to add about 3,100ths of an acre to that PRD. It's currently zoned R3. It's adjoining to it. And then as well as just amend the overall PRD as well as part of incorporating that additional property into the development. Surrounding zoning is a mix of, there's about three or four other PRDs adjoining to Briley Downs, the Collins Grove, Alfaro subdivision, Reverie at Music City, and then the Linwood developments. And then there's also has some adjoining properties owned RM in Rutherford County. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family residential in this area. Major thoroughfare plan does designate Rocky Fork Elmville Road as a minor arterial, and right-of-way dedication is shown on the plans for that road. Again, there is an existing approved PRD. It is for 212 single-family lots on 67.68 acres. It's a density of about 3.13 units per acre. There are about 15.47 acres of open space in that development, and so the density of those lots on that 52.21 acres, it makes that density of just over 4.06 per acre on that, when you don't count the open space. Again, the amendment would add about 3,100ths of an acre that's currently zoned R3 to that PUD, to this PRD, which would be for 217 single-family lots, so it would be an increase of 5 lots on 67.99 acres. So it's about 3.19 units per acre, so an increase in the overall density of a little bit there. They are roughly the same amount of open space being provided. So the 217 lots on 52.54 acres, it's about 4.13 units per acre. In addition to the overall layout changing and that sort of thing and adding 5 lots, there are some changes to the amenities. They're adding a pool and a clubhouse, replacing a pavilion, dog park, and community garden. They're also amending the front setback from 35 feet was the requirement to allowing a front setback of 20 feet with a 35-foot setback to the garage, that has been approved for this entire development using the current approved PRD, as well as the final plat for all phases of Section 1. So if this amendment is approved, the preliminary plats would basically all have to be reapproved except so. Again, that's about all that I have. Again, it's relatively the same development other than the 5 additional lots that were being submitted and then some changes in the amenities. So
Questions
I've
for,
got.
questions for Kevin on this PRD?
Would this new request fall under the new guidelines for PRDs?
Because they've had the vested rights submit with the plats that have already been submitted and everything like that. It's the only part that would even, in theory, would be the 5 lots. It just didn't make sense to us to make it really couldn't make the whole development meet the new requirements because it is with the vested rights they've had from a zoning standpoint as well as the plat approvals. So, I mean, they're already constructing that one phase of Section 1, Phase 2. Plat actually just recently was submitted for recording, so.
Kevin, when you look at what the density is for the overall project, and then you take out open space, does it not equal green space with, potential trees, grass, things like that? And if you're looking at a percentage, what is 15.47 of the 52? If that's, is it about 20? About 20 something, over 22?
It's a little over 20% of open space.
So we got, in this project,
Of the
we got
16.
22% of open
Make
space
sure.
here.
That's pretty close. I'll do the,
Yeah, I'm looking at their drawing, it's 22.72%.
yeah, not,
Oh, I thought you did that in your head.
No, it's right there.
Okay.
yeah.
It's pretty quick math.
Yeah, it was. I was like, wow.
So, and that, of course, some of that is improved, some of that is basically being left alone is more natural area, and then some of it will be improved with, again, some of those amenities that I mentioned.
Four acres is improved over the face of the 15.
Okay.
Other questions or comments for Kevin concerning this?
This was a while back, and I had worked with some people on the Briley project before, so I'm going to abstain simply from that standpoint. Since it's trying to connect in, I don't want to have any vote on this, so I'll abstain my vote.
So I'm trying to boil it down just because it was a lot of reading there.
Sure.
Essentially, they're adding 5 more lots with the additional land. They're modifying the amenities, and they're changing their setback to be 35 foot to the garage, but 20 foot to the house. Is that the only changes?
Those are the changes, yeah. I mean, there's some of the lots are getting moved around a little bit and different things like that, but essentially that's substantive changes. That's
And
it.
the amenities, they're going to a pool and pool house from whatever it was before.
Correct,
So they're improving the amenities.
yes.
Kevin, how long ago was the PRD approved originally?
At least 2 years, maybe longer, yeah.
Other questions or comments? So we're adding 5 lots.
Yes,
We're also adding.
But we're also adding .31 acres.
we are adding 3/100ths of an acre to the overall
Yeah.
development, yeah.
Yeah, the overall density comes to 3.19 units per acre, which is almost standard R3.
Yes. But R3 would not include the open space
Or the amenities.
or the amenities.
Do we know what the square footage of the lots and the houses is going to be?
I don't see that. I see that they're a mixture of 55, 50, and 45-foot width. But I don't know what the depth is to figure out the square footage there.
Yeah, I can't recall, I mean, the average lot size is a little over 8,000. Some of them go obviously smaller and some larger, so. This is- I think the minimum, when you get down to those smaller 6,000, 7,000 square foot lots, but the average is a little over 8,000.
Other questions, comments? I will entertain a motion then.
I motion we approve the additional lots and the changes set forth by staff,
With staff comments.
with staff
I have
comments.
a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, we are now on to our next item, which is Stewart Landing, 2001 Montlow Boulevard and Sim Ridley Parkway West, rezoning C2 to PUD and PUD amendment.
Yeah, this is a PUD amendment request as well as a zoning change as well, similar to the last request. This is on Sam Ridley Parkway, corner of Sam Ridley Parkway, and Montlow College Boulevard. This was the Stewart's Landing PUD, and There's, so about 3 or so acres of this property that was, still had a C2 zoning as well, that has been requested to be zoned to this PUD and incorporated into the PUD. This was held out at the time, basically that there was going to be something, potentially a use of that property by Motlow State Community College that hasn't come to any type of fruition, and so would be, it was a part of the land sale from the town to the developer, and so they're now just wanting to incorporate that into this PUD. Surrounding zoning is a mix of C2 in town and as well as agriculture in Laverne, because it does border Laverne as well. Land use plan is a Sam Ridley corridor character area, which would support a combination of retail uses and services that kind of both local and regional in scale. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Sam Ridley Parkway West as a principal arterial, and Motlow College Boulevard as a collector, and adequate right-of-way does exist for those streets. The existing approved PUD would allow for 280,400 square feet of commercial buildings, 245,500 square feet of office space, 240 hotel rooms, and 75 for-sale condominiums. This requested amendment would, again, as I stated earlier, add those 3 acres to that area, and then would amend, basically removing the 75 for-sale condominiums, and then replace that with 268 for-rent apartments. There was a requirement for a minimum of 75% brick, stone, and glass exterior. That was as a part of this PUD. They have requested that be amended to a minimum of 64.31% masonry and glass. The list of primary materials would be amended to add authentic stucco, composite metal, panels, pre-finished wood, and painted wood. And the list of secondary materials would be amended to add cementous siding, fabric awnings, architectural metal panels, and smooth-face concrete masonry. We had some other comments. Number 9, has been addressed. All the parcels are shown correctly now, so we can remove that one. Comments 10, 11, and 12 were from our fire department with regards to fire auto turn, building height, which may require the wider width drive aisles or roads, and then that the fire flow would be determined per building. They've agreed to all those, and so those would be looked at in more detail if this zoning is approved and at site plan review, but they have agreed to meet all those requirements. We did have a comment number 13. We did ask for some additional details. They have, as part of, say, are increasing the number of residential units here. They're looking at some increased amenities, recreational type amenities. And so we did ask for some additional detail. They did say that they're still working on those details and they don't have those nailed down yet. So again, it's something that they do still need to provide us. We could certainly, if Planning Commission is okay with that, it could be a condition of the approval that they look at it and provide those details at site plan review. Again, if this zoning is approved, or PUD amendment is approved rather. And it kind of, comment 14 is a similar with regards to the sign ordinance. Within a PUD, the sign ordinance does require a PUD to kind of give us to include a signage plan. That was a condition of the approval of this PUD when it was originally approved, and still does need to be provided to us, and so they still need to work through that. They did provide some examples, kind of some possibilities of what, primarily we're concerned with those kind of the large scale type of the wayfinding type signage and those kind of things for development of this size, not necessarily the individual signage on a building for a particular business or something like that. Comment 15, staff would recommend that the standalone non-residential buildings be required to meet the current PUD standard with regards to the minimum required percentage of brick, stone, and glass. And we would also recommend that requested amendment be brick, stone, and glass, not masonry and glass. This would be consistent with the town's design standards for any commercial or office development. This was a higher standard when this was approved. We have now made that our standard everywhere. And so I would recommend against that for the standalone non-residential building. The percentage amendment with regards to the mixed-use buildings or the residential buildings that are proposed, I would have no issue with that in that regard. I did ask that they show those percentages on the guidelines similar to what was shown on the original PUD documents as well, just for clarity. Just to look at the maps, this just highlights the parcel area, or the portion of the parcel that would still be Zone C2 that would be incorporated into the overall PUD. So this shows the entirety of the tract of land. The plat has already been recorded, creating the first couple portions of the public right-of-way there, as well as the lots along Sam Ridley Parkway. And then this kind of shows the overall development plan as it's in front of you now. What was being recommended or requested for the amendment as far as the layout, the building layout, road layout, all those things. Just for clarity, just so everyone knows, if I can make my pointer work, the building 6 there, which is at the end, which is the one where kind of the circle is, and then this building, which I think is building 1, or I can't remember that number there. Those 2 buildings, as proposed, would be all residential buildings. The 4 buildings here, on either side of the boulevard there, would be the mixed-use buildings with the commercial on the first floor with the residential above them. So that's where the residential would be, with the open space, amenities package kind of in between, just to the east there, would be the primary, that area here, again, where my circle is there, that would be kind of the primary kind of open area for the residents. One thing we did ask them to look at, and they did show that, is with the increased residential units, they're proposing that we would look at the parking again to be sure that there was adequate parking provided, and they did provide that information, and there is, this overall plan still does meet the parking requirements for the commercial as well as the increased residential units as well. So we did want to show that as well, or wanted to look at that as well. So I think that's all I've got. The developers are here, and they have provided us, they would like to us to play, once you all obviously get to the point where you want to see this, a thumb drive that would play a video. So if you would like to see that as well. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Questions for Kevin?
Kevin, can you talk about the parking a little bit? I must be skimming over it, not seeing it clearly, but I imagine we're jumping from, I don't know, 150 spots up to over 500 spots to accommodate the increase in doors? And how did we do that without encroaching upon the retail mixed-use space?
Well, that's the number of permits or parking spaces required for condominiums is higher than an apartment in our ordinance, and so it is 2 per unit for apartments. For condo, it's 4 per unit plus a half space per unit for guests, and so the number is not as big of a jump, because 38 spaces versus 500, and big of a jump as you would think. We looked at that, and the numbers do work out with what they're proposing around the units themselves, as well as the commercial space that they're providing.
2, 4, 5 in that main corridor, those are going from condos to apartments now?
Well, those are, 1, 2, 4, and 5 are mixed-use buildings.
Right.
They are going, instead of having commercial first floor with condominiums above, they would be apartments above, yes, rental.
And
And then building
3
3 and 6 would be all residential units.
What's that area towards the back, area D? That looks like an amphitheater?
That is an amphitheater, yes. That would be an amphitheater. That would be one of the, part of the open, kind of the amenities for the development would be that amphitheater area.
You said that E was an open space, but on here they're showing it as kind of a pocket park, so.
Yeah, that's the primary kind of pocket park area. It's really kind of geared towards the residential
Got it.
units, yeah. I mean, they would obviously have access to other things, and I think there's maybe a playground area or whatever they're proposing in that area. And there's also, I think, yeah, kind of just behind that, there's kind of some walking trails, an area that's kind of indicated as C. I think that's some trails in that area.
Any insight on the shift from condominium to apartment?
Yes, they did. I mean, and they're here to can explain this maybe better than I can, but it was essentially when they were talking to condominium developers, condominium builders, those kind of things, the struggle was honestly the mixture of commercial, non-residential and residential parking for a for sale product, I guess, is where they were kind of struggling with. And again, that was one of the things that was mentioned. So, I mean, again, there may be other issues that I'm forgetting as I'm thinking, but, that they can probably explain that better than I could.
I think 4 or 5 of these sites are already signed leases, is that correct?
Yeah, those out parcels in front, we've had site plans on several of those, not all of them certainly, with approved, developments on them already.
Is Sprouts, which block is Sprouts going into?
On this plan, it's 16.
16, okay.
Yeah. Which we
And
do have the
so,
site plan.
And where's the Wawa block?
15,
So Wawa has the frontage.
that's correct.
I think there's a couple restaurants as well.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where are they located? Can you, just for information for everybody
Fort
looking?
14 is the Jonathan's Grill. I think 12, if I'm remembering right, 11 or 12, I can't remember. One of those is the City Barbecue. And then we had the lots, buildings 7, 8, 9, and 10 have also had a site plan approved as well.
So they're just not signed leases yet, but do we know?
I think they may, those are the buildings that are going to be more multi-tenant buildings.
Okay.
So I met with Land Elliott, who's here, and some of his staff. We've talked about this quite a few times, and even what I told him is, obviously going from for sale to apartments is not ideal. It's not what we would like. But after meeting with them and kind of understanding what's driving the conversation, one of the biggest changes was the original plan had a very large grocery store at the end of the plaza there, and that ended up not coming to fruition and became Sprouts, which is a much smaller grocery store. So they had to make some modifications to their plan to accommodate that additional or lack of square footage. It went from, I think, 100,000, nearly 100,000 to down to 23,000. Can we get Land to?
Yeah, I think that we're probably at an appropriate point for Land to come up. No, well,
Sorry about that.
no.
Yeah.
You're good if you could give us your name and address, and you've heard a couple of questions. I'm sure there's going to be some more here.
Sure, I can answer them, I think all of them. Land Elliott Equitable Property Company, I'm the developer for Stewart's Landing.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you could kind of, some of the conversations you and I've had, if you can kind of
Sure.
just lay out for planning, what's kind of facilitated the change and
Yeah.
kind of what you're trying to do to keep the project moving and viable and all of those things.
Yep, so to address kind of, to tag along on Kevin's comment about the for sale product and some challenges with that, and, one of the bigger ones was, how do you dedicate parking for a condominium that's for sale in a mixed-use environment and without, and not being covered? We were just struggling with local real estate firms advising us on the viability of that. And so we started looking at other options. We looked at putting some townhouses on it and started to work with the city staff on the concept of maybe adding some units. And the reason for that was, number one, we needed to have, or we wanted to have kind of a 24-hour activation on the site. So people actually living there above all the retail. So additional people to shop there, but basically having the lights on in this development all the time and activity all the time on the site. And so we started looking at mixed-use developments all over the southeast. And when you look at the best of the best in the southeast, they really try to integrate living directly in the commercial environment. And so we started to build on that concept and working with the city staff and specifically Dave, we had about 1.3 acres in the original plan of green space. And so Dave said, well, if we're going to give you guys additional density, can we pick up more green space? And so we started to study the different options for along the line of what Steve's talking about. When we lost Hy-Vee to Middle Tennessee in general, they had 3 deals in Rutherford County slated, 1 in Williamson County, a distribution center in Middle Tennessee, and then they were contemplating our site, and they completely pulled out of the market. So we had designed a 97,000 square foot building, looking at in front of the Pocket Park and up onto the boulevard to the right where the retention pond is. And when they pulled completely out of the Tennessee market, and we were left with some open space, kind of moving the puzzle around, trying to get that grocery anchor, which we all wanted because it drives commercial activity and all the other tenants to the site. And we were fortunate enough to secure Sprouts in the last month. They've signed a lease with us. And so under Dave's kind of guidance, we started to look at how we could open up green space. So we went from 1.3 acres of green space in the original PUD to now over 6 acres of green space. The 2 kind of largest parts of that are the Pocket Park, which is E, the 2-acre Park A at the end of the boulevard, and then I believe it's D. I can't see very well, but D on the site plan that is the amphitheater. Those make up the majority of the now 6 acres of green space. So there was a kind of a give and take on, okay, if you're going to ask for this density, what are you going to give the city and the citizens of Smyrna? And so that's what we worked on with the staff. Steve, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Charles?
Charles, were you?
Okay.
Okay. Other questions for Land while we have him up here?
Within you got a lot of asphalt going down here, and it looks like you've got some islands and so forth. What's your plan for, in that space, to trees, green it up, do something like that?
Yeah, the green space concept is kind of constantly evolving for us. We've hired a company called Gensler to take this site plan. They do a lot of landscape architecture work. They did 5th and Broadway downtown. So if you've ever been down to like that food court on Broadway, they were the architecture firm that did all the hardscaping and did all the planning around that development and other marquee developments in the southeast. And so we've taken this plan and gone to them, and if you look at the boulevard, and unfortunately this isn't a color rendering, And I believe when we play the video, you'll be able to see some of the trees and some of the landscaping that we've incorporated, but it's constantly evolving. If you look down Motlow College Boulevard and the first entrance that you come to as you're coming off of Jeannie Lane, that whole, that big thoroughfare there is kind of becoming what we're calling like a secondary boulevard. And it's kind of to draw the pedestrian traffic from the neighborhoods behind it into the development. And so we're creating green space and park space, doubling the size of the normal sidewalks in there. So the concept is to draw the pedestrian through and into the back of the development and all of the retail tenants that will be on the ground floor in the back of the boulevard. To kind of talk about a little bit of the leasing, if that answers your question about green space, we can get into it. There is very intentional work around that, and maybe after the video, if you've got more questions, I'm happy to answer it. But I think somebody was talking about the leasing activity on the space, or on the development. The 4 buildings on the front of the boulevard are 85% pre-leased. If you work from east to west on the front of on the out parcels on the development, you've got City Barbecue that has signed a lease on the east side, a coffee company called Brew Y'all Coffee, which is a local concept. We wanted to try to incorporate kind of a mixture of national tenants that we all know with local companies. So we're doing a real big push to try to give some of these local operators a spot in the development, just not only to support local businesses, but also to kind of add that flavor to the development, so it's not just generic. And then as you move into the 4 buildings on the boulevard, again, 85% pre-leased to restaurants and services companies, still looking for some soft good type tenants in there to kind of fill it out. And then 13, which is the site to the west of those 4 buildings, is currently up in the air. We've got an LOI from Shake Shack, an LOI from Bank of the Ozarks that we're working on that. They want to be in the market. They're entering Middle Tennessee right now and have chosen Smyrna as one of the markets that they want to go into. And Tim Hortons is another group that we have an LOI from. So we're just trying to figure out who the best fit is at for combining the different uses of all of our tenants and who will fit in there from a traffic standpoint the best. 14 is Jonathan's Grill. They close hopefully next week on their parcel. Kevin would know, but I think they're really close to getting a permit if they don't already have it. I don't know where they are on that.
They probably don't have a permit yet. They may be getting close with their
Okay.
reviews and whatnot.
So very close on that. Pad Delivery to Wawa, who's building their own building, will be at the beginning of September for the corner of the out parcels. And then, of course, Sprouts is the box as you're going north from the out parcels on the far west side of the development. And then buildings, I can't see it, the buildings in the parking lot in front of Sprouts.
17 and 18.
17 and 18, that's where we were trying to make up the difference that Steve was talking about from the Hy-Vee, which was 97,000 feet. And we're proposing a 25 to 30,000 square feet on the north building there and roughly 17,000 square feet in the smaller building in that parking lot. So we're getting really close to replacing the Hy-Vee square footage by incorporating those buildings, which, we haven't marketed really until we've kind of held them back because we thought we could get better tenants with Sprouts in place. And now that that's been announced, we'll full-fledged start marketing it. We're getting a lot more interest since the announcement of Sprouts. And then looking at the back corner of the development, we've got a back northwest corner of the development. We've got some flexibility on whether we find a retail tenant or we do an office tenant. We've been looking for a medical office user in that quadrant. And then We've got the 240 hotel keys, which would be 2 hotels, 120 keys each, designed back there next to the amphitheater.
2021?
Yes, sir.
From a property management side of things, my only concern would be when you go in with, on those apartments, you know, that sense of ownership goes away. And I don't think anybody would want to see coming up the front boulevard there, you know, railings covered with people's bikes and clothes and, you know, drying
Yeah.
and so forth like that. You have given any thought to that look and?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I would say that maybe the opposite is true, because now we've got an asset that's worth, I don't know, whatever it ends up being, $50 million of worth of apartments there. And so the management of that whole center, which will be one management company controlling all of it, will really standardize the management and control it. And so it's very intentional about having full control, full autonomy from a management company versus, you know, individual owners. And we have rules and regulations for the handful of buildings that aren't being developed by us. That would be Jonathan's and Wawa. So they're under strict guidelines where there's self-help clauses for the management company that manages the entire, you know, development to come in, and if it's not kept up to our standards, to actually do it ourselves. So, yeah, the control of that is, I would call that kind of a non-issue from a management standpoint.
So you're looking at this as to be kind of upscale looking complex?
I mean, this will be a Class A development and arguably one of the better ones in the state when we get done with it. I would compare it to, if you've been to Franklin, maybe to McEwen on that level of finishes and quality, if you've seen that development. So along the lines of that, or maybe if you've seen like the Hill Center in Green Hills, something like that. I don't like to use One Bellevue, but, you know, it's kind of a combination of all three of those kind of combined together in one space. So there really won't be anything quite like it in Middle Tennessee, and I would argue nothing like it quite in Rutherford County, really, when you talk about mixing all these uses together on one site. I mean, even the avenues in Murfreesboro don't have the intentionality that we have with the parks and the public art and all the things that we're doing to place make this space and kind of make it world class. And using the firm that we're using out of Atlanta, I referenced Gensler, the developers of Fifth and Broadway, use them as their architect and land planner. And so we're really trying to elevate this to something unlike anything really in Middle Tennessee. I'd like it to be on, you know, the place that developers and cities and towns all over the South come to look at, you know, how to do it right. So
From the hotels, what kind of hotel we talking? We like
yeah. So
Marriott, Hilton, or we're talking?
So, you know, I would really like to see something that's kind of a boutique branded hotel that maybe uses the Hilton or Marriott, you know, booking systems just to keep the ADR up. We have kind of a unique opportunity because there's really not, if you think of maybe some of the developments, maybe in Brentwood, that where they put a Courtyard Marriott at the end of a retail boulevard. If you've seen that development off of Franklin Road, or you look at the Harpeth in downtown Franklin, those are kind of some of the reference points we're kind of using. We're really trying to be kind of distinctive from the interstate offerings that exist, that some of which are older, that kind of drag down the rates in Smyrna. So we would propose kind of a Class A, you know, full service type hotel, at least for one of the flags, restaurant and bar and that kind of thing in it. And so hopefully utilizing the green spaces and things like that, we think we can drive rates up, drive sales tax dollars up by creating a great place that people want to stay in, that's amenitized through all of the different tenants and the different uses that exist in the development. So we were talking to 3 or 4 hotel groups. A couple of them are local. One of the groups is out of Detroit, and they've done some really nice things in downtown. I don't know if you've heard or read about the revitalization of downtown Detroit, but we have a partner up there that we talked to a lot about this, and so we're excited about that piece.
How tall are we talking, structure-wise?
How far away from
How
when
tall?
Yeah, so what we're hearing from those guys is, as soon as the retail starts going vertical and you start opening those businesses, that's probably when we would try to start construction for them. So it's sort of coming on the back end of the activity, I would say, but it'll happen relatively quick because these businesses will be open for business at the end of next year or the beginning of 2027.
Is the
So as soon as
intent for
Sprouts
these-
opens, everything's gonna,
5-story, 8 stories, what's the height?
It's gonna have to meet our height requirements, so.
Yeah.
So for this area, that's gonna be 60 feet?
It's gonna meet our ladder.
Yeah.
Fire
Kevin,
department
what's our-
ladder length.
Right.
What's our height?
It's not quite 60, is
I
it?
don't think it is
It's
60.
not quite 60.
54,
Yeah,
55.
it would be 5 stories. We have some 5-story hotels in town. That's kind of the tallest we've got.
Down the other end
Yeah.
of the road, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be in that.
And that gets
50
into
I think
public
these are
safety.
designed as 4 stories right now with the number of rooms we have.
Lan, I've heard you say all these people are interested, and I know when I met with you and talked to you about this previously, some of your concern was foot traffic and getting the businesses supported by foot traffic. It sounds to me, though, a little bit like people are pretty excited to get in here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it enhances it to have the citizens living there.
Do you, in your mind, and I may have asked you this when I talked to you, we talked about the end corridor building there that Ken was talking about. I don't anticipate you're going to have, stuff hanging off the balconies, things like
Right.
that. It'll be maintained. But is there any thought of doing ownership on that building?
We have not talked about that. I think it would require structured parking or underground parking. And it's just it's part of the reason we came to the city in the first place. It's just kind of cost prohibitive to go through that limestone.
And so the other building would be number 6?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking at 3 and 6 really as the alternative request.
Pretty much,
Pretty
yeah. That's
much.
kind of where the density moved. There's a little bit more along the boulevard, but
6 is near the Pocket Park, which sort of makes sense, and 3 is near the amphitheater and the Pocket Park. Say that fast 3 times. And I told you this, I still have heartburn about adding apartments. I saw an email today, there was a request from one of our councilmen to know how many apartments were on the Parkway, and it's quite a few. It's over 4,000. So I think the support system is up and down the road, but the walkability is what you're looking for inside. Keep the lights on 24/7.
yes. We want activation on the site for safety reasons and for commercial reasons and for just the vibrancy of the place.
From an elevation perspective, how differently would these buildings look as apartments versus condominiums?
Well, I mean, if we did condos, it'd likely be either above the retail or maybe in one of the 2 buildings that Mark was just referencing. We're pretty excited, and I don't know if it's appropriate, but Kevin, could you show the video real quick? Because one of the things, and I may ask, I don't know if you can pause it at different times, I don't know how
The
you.
gentleman over there is one that's going to be controlling this, so he'll have to do that.
I don't
but-
know, if it's easy just to do it. If we want to pause it, if anybody wants to, we can figure out how to do it. It's kind of nice to be able to pause it and, yeah. So here we are, coming in and off of Sam Ridley, and just so, can I walk over here to point at this? Okay.
You have to talk a little louder, your mic's not.
All right, so one of the things that we've really tried to address through different, we're on our 4th parking study to everybody's point about how's the parking gonna work. All of our off-site traffic that we've had to do with TDOT, but as you come on to Sam Ridley, heading east, this will be, per TDOT's plan, a right-in lane right here. This is a fully accessed traffic signal, and it is coordinated with Motlow's signal. As you come out of the development, there's a new lane, right in, or right out lane, that will then also be able to turn right on Motlow. And then, I always forget the name across the street that Motlow, Mason Tucker, I'm sorry. And then what TDOT has proposed that we extend this turning lane, taking a left on Mason Tucker. So that'll be longer, just to alleviate any kind of traffic concerns around this development. So there's been a lot of off-site work and expense that's going into this development and making sure that the traffic flow works really well for the community who have played please.
Oh, sorry. We'll work on it. Doesn't want to do anything.
Those are two-story office spaces to the left above the front buildings. This is the approach in, and that's Sprouts and the Shadow Box Retail. One of the things that about perspective.
So answer your question, no, pause it.
I apologize, I tried.
It's okay. But one of the things that we really like about the scale of this, as you get to play a little bit longer, as you see, what we've done is stepped up to a 2-story, 3-story, and 4-story building in the back. So as you're coming off of Sam Ridley, you just have this perspective, and it gives it the density of a place, of great places. You can see here in the what we're calling this the runway instead of a boulevard now, which Ginsburg's idea. But anyway, we've got a P-51 replica that's full scale. That'll be like a sculptural element. And these are jewel boxes. This is going to be Handel's Ice Cream in the middle of the runway plaza. And as you kind of keep going through it, office space up there. And as you can kind of see now, we've kind of turned these into 4 different buildings, and the reason for that, and Kevin, we work really closely with Kevin, is to create these end caps that also have canopies and the ability for pedestrians to walk through those buildings from the parking areas and create cafe areas, streetscape for restaurants and different types of tenants that might want outdoor space incorporated into their space. All these awnings make this better for all of us. Gensler's idea today was to actually slide this part back into this natural area right now. So it would move the parking up a little bit, but it would basically increase the scale of the park and kind of give the green spaces continuity together, because this walking trail that's going around here would be nice to be able to connect into that park. So it was an idea that was proposed today. We have a team talk to here. So, because this was always intended to be an office park before we proposed this mixed-use development, it was important to kind of retain not only the office availability in the back, which we continue to market, but we wanted to have office space back a little bit to create kind of wider sidewalks. I mean, this is your normal sidewalk depth here, so what you've got here is the ability to either have a wide boulevard-type sidewalk or draw cafe tables and dining out onto the street, so that the idea is just to have activity and pedestrian traffic kind of interacting, just to create a place that people want to be in, good, play in. We'll hit pause right here. So you're starting to see right here, this is some of the square footage that we were trying to make up from the Hy-Vee deal. And we were talking to a national steakhouse for this. We were on a call with them today. They really like this particular building. And as you can see, here's the sprouts starting to emerge in the video. And we're working with the staff right now. One of the things the staff commented on in this most recent rounds of comments is if you look at the sprouts as it's related to Motlow and this boulevard right here, it kind of looked like the back of the building was facing Motlow. And so what we're working with the staff right now on is putting up kind of faux storefronts on the sides so that even though it is a side and it is a back, it doesn't appear to be that from the streetscape. And so there's a lot of intentionality and tweaking that we're doing to try to make this flow better and to make it more inviting to pedestrian and vehicular traffic. More shadow box space here. I feel pause it right here. So one of the things that was proposed today from Gensler is maybe taking this building and sticking it over, pulling it this way just a little bit, and then actually having a breezeway, maybe even a covered breezeway that connects into the amphitheater. And if you'll let it play, it may make more sense. But the idea is visually to be able to see through these buildings and connect it back to the hotel. So what we're trying to do at this point is just refine these plans so that everything interacts better with the experience for everybody. Hopefully drop value, higher rents, higher sales, or sales tax dollars. Kind of everybody wins. But like, that's it. So.
Another question I've got, I mean, we talked about the request. What kind of, or you may not even know this, Lam, but what kind of rental product are we talking about from a rent standpoint?
Wow.
I mean, are we looking at upper end rental, lower
Oh,
end?
yeah. So the handles like the jewel box that we showed.
I'm talking about the residential portion.
Oh, the residential
Yeah.
portion. Yeah, it would be market rent. So yeah, it'd be comparable to like TDK and Gray Star's rents around the corner. That's what we're basing our
Yeah,
program on.
they're not terribly cheap.
No.
They're higher end.
Yeah, and we've also kind of addressed some concerns too about like our unit mix. So we don't have any 3-bedroom units. It's not really designed. It's really designed for, singles and young couples or empty nesters, that type of thing. So it's not really designed. Nor would many families want their kids running around and in parking lots and whatnot. This is more of a higher end singles and empty nester type concept. The way the unit mixes have been intentionally.
And with building 3, is that your parking area in front of it?
Yes. Yeah, we started to look at parking here recently, and we have significantly more parking than what's required in this development.
Is there a challenge, I'm only asking, is there a challenge moving the parking to the rear?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the benefit outweighs any inconvenience, because what people that live in places like this want are all the amenities. So they want to be able to walk to the coffee shop or
Well, yeah, I'm
To
just
the
talking
out
about the
parcel.
residential portion.
yeah.
Yeah. Building 3 is a residential request. And I'm looking up that whole thoroughfare right there. And I'm just wondering if parking is what you want to see at the end of the thoroughfare.
As you get higher up in those buildings, you're going to be looking back at green space and all around it. So I think the views are going to be pretty good.
I think are you talking about the area that's kind of encompassed with the 3 sides? Is that?
Yeah, that's from the A block.
Right,
What is
right
that?
in here? That's actually
I'm sorry.
That's actually more of an open space area there.
Okay, so it
Yeah.
is in the rear.
Yeah,
Parking's
parking
to the
is in the
rear and
rear.
side.
The
It
A
looked
is
like
actually.
it looked
yeah.
like a roundabout a little
Yeah.
bit on the A block. So
Yeah,
that's why I was asking.
it's not going to be, it's going to be more of a park.
Okay.
That
All right, well, that
hopefully
answered
will
my
be,
question right
yeah, I'm
there.
sorry, I misunderstood you.
I'm looking at it wrong, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's my fault, but
That's a pretty large park. I think it's roughly 2 acres, but it's a big.
1.4 acres
1.4
according to your
acres.
plans.
I see the parking now, my mistake, thank you.
Yeah, hopefully, you'll see people on their balconies looking down the boulevard.
So you're requesting a variance from our design review. Is there a reason that you're doing that?
For the materials,
Yeah.
is that what you're talking about? Yeah, it's just started to, and our architect is here, Paul, I don't know if you want to comment on it, but it just started to feel a little institutional.
And honestly, Paul Bass, Consortium Architecture and Planning, Franklin, Tennessee, we do meet the standards except for the 75%, so it's actually over the 50% brick and glazing for those buildings.
Kevin?
Yeah, the 75% rule is for any elevation visible from a public street.
From a public street.
That's
So-
the part that's
But the
not
building
being
as a
met.
whole,
Yeah.
like you had mentioned earlier, is
Yeah,
63.41.
the buildings as a whole would meet it. It's just the elevations visible from a public street, we do require 75%. The buildings that have been approved to this point have all met that requirement.
I'd like to be consistent there if we can.
I mean, are there any buildings not visible from a public street?
You maybe, well, because even that new street's gonna be public. I don't think any of the buildings are gonna have some visibility from either Motlow, Sam Ridley, or one of the new streets they're building.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I was like, those aren't gonna be private. So,
Right.
So the 75% is gonna have to be met anyway.
Maybe the rear of Building 3, but that's one of the non-residential buildings that we don't have, or maybe the rear of like Building 20, maybe.
Yeah.
Some of those may be in 22.
But also, I mean, the design guidelines also have a stipulation, and with building 3 and 6 being 100% multifamily, it stipulates that hardy, it can be used
Yeah,
as
that's
a
correct.
primary.
And I don't, the 75% I would recommend was just on the completely non-residential buildings.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
we-
the
the mixed-use
residential
buildings-
would meet design review.
The residential would be fine, and the 4 mixed-use buildings would be okay. It's really
Okay.
just those
Correct.
buildings that are completely non-residential.
So they're meeting design review for the buildings as per either commercial or residential.
Correct. On any commercial, we're
Correct.
nearly 100% brick, or thereabouts. Because the brick on buildings 1, 2, 4, and 5 are 100% brick relatively.
On
And
the
then we
on the
switch
first
over to-
floor.
Correct, and then we switch over
But
to
if
2
if we
and
leave the comment in that meets design review, that's applied, that would be applied as what's required for a commercial building and would be applied as what's required for residential if approved.
That was staff's recommendation,
Okay.
right. Yeah, they requested the 64% for all the buildings. My recommendation was just on the non-residential, the ones that are 100% non-residential in use, which would be, again, the buildings that have already been approved, the Sprouts today, that's on the agenda later on tonight, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, those buildings that are completely non-residential in use, meeting that 75% rule if it's, the elevation is visible from a public street.
And all other commercial buildings have met that.
To this point, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And Len, I understood you to say that TDOT has given approval to the things we talked about on the Parkway? Has that
We
happened?
have a permit. Yes. Yeah. As of today, we have a permit for everything on Sam Ridley.
So coming from the bridge to this development, do you have any inclination how far back that stack would be?
Terminal. Why don't you step up here?
If you can give us your name.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Turnbull Pursley with Equitable Property Company. Could you repeat the question?
Well, going back to the bridge, which is the Lowry Street Bridge, how far back would this stacking take you towards that bridge?
The right-in lane, it starts right as you come in past the detention pond. We're taking that existing guardrail down about 150 feet, and then starting from there, all the way down to our main entry into Allen Stewart Way, and then past that, we're continuing a right turn lane into Motlow College Boulevard as well.
Does that capture any of the merging traffic coming off of Lowry at all?
The merging
So when
traffic,
people are merging onto Sam Ridley coming off of Lowry Street in that same lane, is there any issues with that? I guess TDOT doesn't seem to think so.
I don't think so. We had to redo a whole traffic study, to satisfy them, and they signed off on it recently.
Wouldn't the bridge have to be widened for that?
Well, I'm talking about how they come up on there from Lowry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If
But
somebody-
for him to pick that lane up and carry it down, but wouldn't the lane have to exist on the bridge too?
Well,
It
that's why I'm
starts
asking
right
how far
as
back
the
it comes.
Bridge
because
ends, it merges to a right turn lane.
After the bridge.
I think Mark's looking.
I'm thinking about
trying to
cars
avoid
crossing.
conflict.
It's merging in and somebody trying to get in the turn lane.
Yeah.
Right there as they meet each other coming off the bridge. So if you're coming down that road now,
I got you.
when they loop up and come in, and they're doing all that work down underneath now, I just want to make sure we don't have a problem with people merging in and people trying to get over at the same time.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, there's not much you could do to prevent that if there's an entrance there.
Well, that's why I asked the TDOT question, so.
We
sure
could
that's-
share all that information with you.
Yeah. TDOT's going to do what TDOT does.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right,
we-
so,
Well aware of that.
yeah.
And I don't know if I can speak to the specifics, other than I know that TDOT's been involved with the idea of what they're doing there as well and incorporating all this together. I know that's been part of that discussion, so they are aware of this development. Obviously, they're aware of the project they've got going on to make those changes they're making to the intersection.
We've done 3 different traffic studies for them. So, and done a lot of tweaking along the way of our original plan. So we proposed, there were 3 revisions to the plan, so it's been pretty evolved. This hadn't been a very
Oh, I'm
fast
sure, yeah.
process, yeah, so.
Well, I remember when this first came to us and originally, and the excitement that this brought to the town. I don't know that there's anything near us that will rival this at all. When I met you, we talked about the place in Destin, Grand Boulevard. Have you
Yeah.
been down to Destin or Sandestin? It
Yes.
sort of reminds me of that concept a little bit.
It does.
There's a
Yeah.
big Publix there, and then you've got all the out parcels and restaurants and things, and so I still have a little heartburn about some of it, but I get it. I understand what the concept reason is to put life in the middle of it, to have foot traffic in the middle of it. So it keeps the businesses thriving a little bit better. So.
The tenants like it. 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom?
Yeah, combination of both. Yeah, so we're pretty equal 2 and 1 bedrooms.
But to Tim's point, design review has been satisfied, and that's big. We've always tried to stay consistent, no matter who it is. We try to stay consistent with that, so.
Okay, anything else for land?
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank y'all.
Well done.
All right, quite a bit of discussion and good discussion. Any other questions for staff at this point? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I got one for Kevin on, to staff is, the video is impressive to see. And what we've had come across us before is, yeah, it'll look like this, but what we end up getting isn't quite the same. And I'm going to speak specifically just to landscaping. There was a lot of grass shown, there were a lot of trees shown. And how do we make sure that happens?
Well, it would be when the development plans come in for the site plans, we'll review them, just as we do with any project. And so, if this PUD shows the green space being there, it'll have to be there. And so they'll just have to provide all that. And we'll just have to review it when the plans come in for each of those different pieces as the site plans come in. At this point, we don't have any site plans other than the Sprouts area itself on that side of Allen Seward Way. So all that open space is still to come, because it's obviously the parks and the amphitheater, all those things, so.
And Kevin will let us know as these site plans come forward for the different buildings. You know, one of his comments will be is whether or not it's consistent with what's been previously submitted. And again, you know, we do have rules and regs as far as landscape design and what's required. And if we require anything additional that's included in the PUD, then Kevin and staff are going to remind us when it comes before the board.
And we've got some recommendations, the site plan that's on your agenda later, we've got some recommendations on some landscaping improvements in there, so.
Yeah, just to land in some of your comments is, we've had a lot of discussion over the last several months about, and you heard the one gentleman here about keeping green space and so forth. So that's becoming a bigger topic. So we're really watching for that kind of thing.
And this improves it.
Yes, yes,
This improves what
this
was
looks nice.
approved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments from Steve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, still under new business, we have a sketch plat, Hidden Hills, Section 7, west of Tamlin Drive, Burgundy Drive, and Bonifay Drive, owner, developer, Open Land Communities.
Yeah, this is a sketch plat for Hidden Hills, Section 7. This is kind of the last piece of property that was kind of part of that original master planned area from, it's probably close to 20 years ago that it got started, actually. This is in an R3 zone. It's 59 lots on 22.78 acres. We had several comments, which are really kind of the standard comments, really 1 through 5 are all standard comments. Would remain, there are no streets affected by the major thoroughfare plan in this phase. Comment number 7 was regarding the 1-inch water service, just as a hedge against the possibility of if we don't know exactly, as an R3 zone, we don't know how big the homes will be. If they get over 3,600 square feet, it's a higher fire flow requirement. And there is also there's some topographic issues in this area, and so the fire flow could become an issue. And so just having that larger service line would allow for the ability to put sprinkler systems if the need does arise. So comments 8 and 9 are really just kind of some standard type comments again, and just also to let them know there would not be any burn permits issued here because of the surrounding residential homes. And again, and then the comment 10 is just an informational comment really for the developer more than anything, just because of that existing topography. Once this gets down to the preliminary plat level and we start looking at this a little more closely, most likely there will be several critical lots within this development. They'll have to be looked at just from a driveway, slopes and those kind of things. So, but with those comments, staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin concerning this?
Well, no, I meant to. There are 3 existing streets that they're going to be tying into and connecting this neighborhood to the surrounding neighborhood that's existing, as well as the future neighborhood to the west there, which is the Sims Ridge development, which Tamlin Avenue is being connected there and would eventually tie over to Spring Hill Drive and all that. So it would be tying some neighborhoods together there.
Anything from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve to put it on the table.
Okay, I got a motion to approve with staff comments from Mark. Do I have a second?
A second.
Motion and a second. Now any discussion?
Are there any differences between this and what was previously contemplated?
I think maybe some of the roads are a little differently, connecting a little bit differently, but not significantly, no.
Anything else? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sketch plat is approved. We are now on to a preliminary plat, Greystone Phase 1D, Winiger Way, owner, developer, Meritage Homes.
Yeah, this is just the next phase of Greystone. This is Phase 1D. It's 64 lots, 15.82 acres. This is a part of the Greystone PRD, and so this is the layout, and everything in this is consistent with the approved PRD. In several comments, but most of which are standard comments. 1 through 6 are all standard comments there. Again, no streets affected by the thoroughfare plan or in this phase. We did ask them to change one of the road names, and so that has comment number 8, which can be taken care of and has been addressed and can be removed. And again, comment number 9 is a similar comment regarding the 1-inch water service, again, just to be sure we address any potential needs for sprinkler systems would could be accommodated with that 1-inch service. So, and with those remaining comments, we would recommend approval.
Okay. Questions for staff on this one?
This lines up with what was approved before.
Yes.
I make a motion to approve staff comments.
A motion to approve with staff comments from Mark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Matt. Further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion and plat is approved. Now we're on to Stewart's Landing, Squadron Street, 2050 Motlow College Boulevard, owner, developer, Stewart's Landing Partners, LP.
Yeah, this is a preliminary plat to create one additional lot as part of the Stewart's Landing PUD, about 6.93 acres. It also includes creation of a new public street, or the right-of-way for a new public street that would be named Squadron Street. Again, several standard comments, which all would remain 1 through 6. Major thoroughfare plan does designate Motlow College Boulevard as a collector. And so they are showing the right-of-way there, accommodation of the right-of-way there, as it does already exist. The last comment there, they did add the signature of the surveyor and signature and stamp of the engineer that prepared the plat. That wasn't on the original plans we had, so that one has been addressed and can be removed. So with those remaining comments, we would recommend approval. This would be consistent with the PUD that you just looked at as far as those revisions as well.
Questions or discussion from the commission?
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. We are on to final plats. Our first is Cornerstone, Section 1, Hollingshead Circle. Owner, developer, Southern Rock Manufacturers, LLC. Michael A. Hollingshead, Hollingshead Land, LLC.
Yeah, this is the final plat. This was this was shown originally as a preliminary plat there were no real lots to create with this plat. It was just to show the right-of-way and utility easements. Lots would become later. So this, again, we have a few standard comments. Comment number 2 with regards to the thoroughfare plan. Again, West Jefferson Pike is a principal arterial and Hickory Grove Road is a collector, and they are showing adequate right-of-way does exist for Jefferson Pike, and right-of-way dedication is required for Hickory Grove Road, and they are showing that right-of-way dedication. This final plat doesn't match the approved preliminary plat with regards to the configuration of that Hickory Grove Road and Hollingshead Circle intersection. It was shown originally as a 4-way stop. It hasn't been constructed as such. We're okay with the connection as it's shown, but if the master plan did show a connection coming in from the north, on that north side, and if that is every connection is ever made, they'll have to create the intersection as it was originally planned. In addition, Hollingshead Circle was originally planned as a public street, but it would now be a private street. But still, the layout is the same, just that it would be a private street. We did ask them to show the existing hydrants, and they have done that. There's a couple of tracks that do need to be combined and reconfigured to be consistent with the site plan that we saw last month for the convenience store. That is still to come, but so they'll still need to clean that up, and that can be done on a separate plat if need be. But with those remaining comments, staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this?
Where was the 4-way stop you were talking about? Where?
It would be kind of on that western side. My pointer to work here. Right in this area right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, I see, like if the road went up.
Yeah, it was meant to be a kind of a 90-degree
Yeah.
situation. It eventually would be a 4-way stop. If that other connection comes in from the north.
Anything else? I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the staff comments.
A motion from Lena, second from Mark. So I have a motion to approve and a second to approve the staff comments. Do I have any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Our next final plat is Bulldog Drive, Lee Victory Parkway and Bulldog Parkway. Owner, developer, Near Homes, Inc., Kroger Limited Partnership 1.
Yeah, this is 8 lots on 27.51 acres. It is zone C2. Again, we have several standard comments that would all remain. Major thoroughfare plan does designate Lee Victory Parkway as a principal arterial and Bulldog Drive as a collector. Adequate right-of-way does exist for those streets. Comment number 7 has been addressed regarding an easement width, just providing a dimension on an easement width. We can remove that comment. Comment number 8, they're showing a public utility and drainage easement as well as an access easement along the rear of what is Lot 1, kind of the eastern side of Lot 1. We did ask them to show that as a private drainage and access easement with a public utility easement because the city would not be maintaining the access for the stormwater infrastructure there, but would be public utilities. The label, they need to tweak the label a little bit. It doesn't actually say what we asked for them to say. So they will need to keep that comment. The plat was labeled initially as a preliminary. It does need to be labeled as a final. That's been taken care of, so we can remove comment number 9. Comment 10 was just kind of an informational comment. They do show a sign easement on lot 1, which is fine. We don't have an issue with the easement, but we just want to be sure that a 20 by 20 easement, and it has to be at least 10 feet off the right of way to the edge of the sign. We want to be sure that they were aware of that, because it was right at the corner of 2 right of ways. And so that was really just an informational comment more than anything. And comment number 11, part of the original approval of this with the preliminary plat when this came in was to provide an access easement from the proposed kind of that eastern end there where there is a private road and private, all the internal streets here are private. But from there, we did ask them to provide an access easement to the property that's is being donated to the Rutherford County Board of Education. That was a part of the original preliminary plat approval, and so we would, just to be consistent with that, we did recommend that be shown as part of this as well. They would like to request that not be required, and they have,
engineers for this project.
So you know the question we're asking?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. And so we've been talking with Kevin about this from the beginning. We had responded to it on the preliminary plat, but then it just got approved with the conditions, which is great normally, but we do want to try to have that removed, and obviously that needs to go before you guys. So the easement in question, from our understanding, you guys want it to come from the sort of southeast corner down there and then extend all the way to the 30-acre property.
Okay. Yeah, this is,
let's take our time here.
That's the 30-acre tract here.
Correct.
There. And it would come.
Can speak to this officially, but it is our understanding that the intent is to actually absorb that 30 acres into the school's property. It's large enough that that can just be done by deed. That 30 acres would be the same piece of property as the school once it is officially handed over. So for that reason, it wouldn't need an access easement because the access would, be the same as the schools from Bulldog Drive there. And the second reason, and the reason we just don't want to do it right now, is because we don't really know what's going to go in the future development there. So we just didn't want to lock anything down in terms of, how that site would be, developed or oriented. You can see there's also a floodplain there at the edge of the future development, which I assume does extend into the donation parcel as well. But I think that area is intended to be, sort of undeveloped, just as walking trails, natural areas, that kind of thing. So we just, again, didn't want to put an access easement through it for no real purpose if the donation parcel is truly absorbed by the high school. So be glad to answer any questions.
So, I guess I've got a couple of thoughts. The first one is an access easement. They could just abandon the easement if they decide not to use it, right, Kevin?
It could happen, certainly, yeah. Any easement can be.
But my point is, if they give them the easement to get to the property, let's say for whatever reason the school determines they can't use the property, they can't build on it, they decide they're just going to sell it. I know what may say what their plans are now, but what actually ends up happening, we don't know. And that easement would be critical at that point. If they do absorb it, then they don't need the easement and they can just abandon it at that point, right?
Sure, yeah, and I was not aware about the absorption. Last I heard, they didn't know what they were going to use.
Yeah, that's what I heard too, so.
So it was required, it was deed restricted, that they be given the right to accept it if they wanted it, and they did. They did vote to accept it. what their plans are, I don't know.
And I guess my other comment is if we don't require the easement at this point, and you guys develop this section that you're developing, and then don't move forward with any of the other development for some period of time, the school decides they want to move forward, or they decide to sell it, they can't do anything until you guys come back and ask, or agree to give them an easement. So it kind of,
And I mean, that's a fair point. And to that end, the property, the donation parcel is currently accessible from the school's parcel. I believe there's a soccer field sort of in the back there, and it is currently accessed from the back, kind of where that call out is for the 860 linear feet of common property line. I believe the school uses it for ROTC purposes right now, just doing some drilling. So that is how it's accessed now. I assume they have a gravel drive or something back there. So if at some point, like I said, it's a fair point, if the school does decide to not absorb it and sell it, an access easement could be granted from the school's property as well. You could access it either way.
we wouldn't want to do that we wouldn't want commercial or some other entity driving through school property. There's obviously lots of security concerns with that. So that's the whole point, is this parcel pretty much without an access easement could pretty much only be used by the school.
And
that leaves the school with less, or the Rutherford County School Board with less options.
And that's completely understandable. I guess our point is just that with not knowing what is going in that future development of this lot, that could be done at that point. Our like the Kroger development, lot 1 down there, the entire loop around Kroger is an access easement. It will be publicly accessible to the future development there. So at that point, when they have a better understanding of what's going in there, you could very easily extend that public access up to the donation parcel there if it did get sold or if something else happened.
Okay.
But yeah, so we're very open to that when it comes about, I suppose.
Kevin, what are your thoughts?
You recommended it for a reason.
Well, we recommended it because my understanding at the time, at least, was the school board didn't know, they voted to accept the property, but they didn't know what they were going to do with it. There was talk of it becoming town property. And we were in at least discussions with potentially having this as some sort of park area or something like that, or greenway trailhead and things like that were being discussed just as ideas. There was no formal negotiations or discussions. It was just ideas that were being tossed around, and because they didn't know what they were going to use it. It's all floodplain. You can't build on it really. I mean, it's a recreational type use or something like that is all it could really ever be. We just wanted to be sure that access could become a different way than through the school if it was ever to be used by anyone other than the school as they're using it right now, because the owner has allowed them to do so, and for years has done that for this whole tract of land, not just that piece of it. That was our thoughts originally when this came through as a preliminary plat, and so we wanted to at least have that discussion again.
And I don't want to put words in the school board's mouth. That was just the latest indication we got, was that the intent was to absorb it, but,
And if it does become all school board property, it becomes all one parcel of land, this does become a moot point at that point, so.
Well, Kroger's here today because the school board did not want that property.
Correct.
So.
Yeah.
I think that needs to be told, because there's a lot of stuff out there that says, why do you,
Yeah.
not going to go there. But
Yeah.
That's why we're here, because the school board did not want to purchase that property for the school. So, and you guys may have sat through that meeting when Trey Lee came and talked about it and voiced the opinion that they don't want the property, they'd rather spend money on property that need new school zones.
Right.
This is just maintainable for them, so. And Kroger had the zoning, by the way, they already had the zoning in lieu of what could have been several hundred more apartments. So I think that needs to be cleared up while we're talking about it today. That's one reason that's, it's come in and gotten approved. As to the easement, I'm like Steve, I'm not so sure there's any harm in having it, other than the fact that nobody seems to know what may become of it. You can always abandon it. So I'm not sure I see the reason why necessarily we need to get rid of it.
I mean, and that's completely fair.
Yeah.
If that is the case, can we possibly request that the easement just be kind of located along the western edge of that future development?
That's a Kevin question.
That's completely fine. As far as where that is located, we're okay as long as it's usable.
Okay, yeah.
It's not on a steep hill or something like that. It actually could be usable. That's completely fine to that location.
Okay, yeah.
It may never get used, but just having it there, I think, gives everybody a little bit more option.
And that's completely fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Kevin, if that's okay with you, I mean, obviously I'll put that in writing, but.
The location to be determined is fine. I don't have any issues.
Yeah,
Never
our
dictate location.
public access easement does sort of extend to the, our northern edge there, what is the sort of western edge of the future development. So we
Right,
can just kind
yeah,
of,
coming off of that area or something will be fine, as long as as long as the topo and everything works, that'll be fine.
okay. Yeah, that is what we show.
Yeah, so
What we will.
What you're saying is rather than bring it all the way down across that.
Yeah, I think that would just be
Yeah.
a little more digestible for,
Yeah.
whatever gets done with,
As
the
minimal,
future.
as minimal impact as possible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really, all I'm concerned about is the access.
Yeah.
I don't really care how it
Yeah, I'm
gets
the same
there.
way.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because if we can work through that, the future development happens, and it can get moved, incorporated into a different roadway or something like
Yeah.
that. It can,
Right.
that all can be addressed later, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion we approve with staff comments, and I am making the assumption that staff comments includes number 11, which requires the easement.
Correct.
To be determined.
Yeah, location to be determined, right?
Yeah. All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, last under final plats tonight, Hidden Springs Phase 1, Lee Road, owner developer David Weekly Homes.
Yeah, this is the one that we are recommending for deferral. There's been a lot of discussion between the developer and the three property owners directly to the west. There was a condition of the original PRD approval of the developer and the neighbors working through buffering. Just, well, that's the history on it. They are working through that. They've made progress. I think they're getting really close. In fact, there's I know I've seen the draft agreement and everything. And so we would recommend a 30-day deferral. Give them 30 days to finalize everything. We would also recommend next month, probably not going to recommend another deferral unless both parties come through us begging for it. Because we do want to get it, this does need to get settled and worked through and agreed to. So we do want to move forward with it. Move forward with the plat one way or the other next month, but we're okay. We'd recommend a 30-day deferral tonight, or not a 30-day, sorry.
Deferral
to the September meeting. Yes.
Okay.
Let's state that correctly.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin on this? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to defer until the September meeting. And I'll second.
Okay. Motion from Charles, second from Steve for deferral to the September meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor of this deferral, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion has been approved and is deferred to the September meeting. Okay. Site plans. First, we have 12415 Old Nashville Highway. Owner developer BLP Investments, Inc.
The applicant has requested that the item be deferred, yep. One
Okay.
month.
All right. Deferred till September. Staff's good with the deferral?
Yes.
Make a motion to defer until the September meeting.
A motion to defer until the September meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? All of those in favor of deferring this site plan until the September meeting, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? This motion is deferred, and September's getting pretty busy for us, folks. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Next site plan, Stewart's Landing Phase 1.5, Pilot Place in Motlow College Boulevard, owner, developer, Equitable Property Company.
This is the site plan for what was mentioned earlier, were Sprouts. They are proposing a 23,300 square foot grocery store within. Access is provided via Pilot Place and Squadron Street of where this site is to be developed at. The building would be on the same parcel as two future buildings that would have a site plan submitted as a later date than the overall parking lots for the site. Basically, so those would be ready to go whenever the future tenants do come in with their site plan. Building permits for this development. The acres, which does require 16,000. Applicant is proposing for 27,085 square feet. Total parking, basically a parking study that was done by the applicant showed about 222 spaces would be required. They're showing for 323 spaces. Handicap parking is 8 spaces required, they're showing for 10. 6 of those 10 spaces would be shown in front of the Sprouts development, with 4 others spread throughout near the other 2 future sites that would be developed later. The landscape plan does show a variety of trees and shrubbery to be planted throughout the site along the public roads within landscape islands. Design review does require streetscaping, which is not being met based on the current plan that is presented to you tonight. They have upped it a little bit from the time it was submitted last month or last week, but still does not meet design review at this time based on streetscaping requirements, particularly along Motlow College Boulevard and Squadron Street. Architectural elevations show the building to be finished with a mixture of brick stone, glazing ephes, fiber cement siding, and metal trim. The sides and rear of the building meet design review, with the front of the building not meeting design review. Previously, when the packets did go out, they were sitting closer to 50% primary materials, and they have upped that now to 73.1%. So we do need that extra 1.8% or 1.9% to be primary materials in order to meet design review for the front facade. As mentioned, additional windows and trellises have been added to the exterior of the sides and the rear of the building to increase that extra interest in the facades. Standard comments 1 through 7 would all remain at this time, and comment 1 regarding the final plat to be recorded prior to issuance of any building permits. Number 2, the architectural comment for the front facade is what that is in reference to, just to meet design review of the 75%. So comment number 2 will remain as well. Number 3 goes back to the additional architectural characters that we asked the applicant to provide, and they have done so. Specifically on the rear elevation, we had asked them to do something else in addition, so it didn't look like the rear of a building facing Motlow College Boulevard, so they did add those trellises and then having some additional signage on the rear of the building, as well as both sides of the building. They added some windows and awnings and some extra signage as well to once again create some more architectural variation on the sides of the buildings. So that did satisfy comment number 3. Comment number 4 for the fire department asked that all hydrants are within 400 feet. The hydrants are located off a reuse water line, so hydrants cannot be located off reuse water lines, so that needs to be relocated, so comment number 4 will remain. Number 5, we asked them to show the shopping cart corral locations. Back when comments went out to you last week, there were some additional parking spaces that have been removed, and that was as a result of them now showing those parking cart corral locations. So number 5 can be removed. 6, the dumpster enclosure elevations have now been included as part of the elevations. It is brick that is more or less integrated into the overall building, so it does meet design review. So staff is satisfied with the way it is shown today, so comment 6 can be removed. Number 7 is regarding the landscaping. Landscape design review does require streetscaping to have street trees placed every 40 feet with shrubbery between those trees. There is a lack of street trees, notably along Squadron Street, and then there's one chunk along Motlow College Boulevard where it's not being met. So we do need both of those streets to meet streetscaping requirement, so number 7 will remain. And then comment number 8, there's an odd looking shape on the lower, I guess, southwest portion of the building. Basically, it's to be used as a future generator spot if needed, empty when not needed. So it was more of a question for staff more than anything else, so comment 8 can be removed as well. Comments 3, 5, 6, and 8 have all been addressed, can be removed, and with that, staff would recommend approval with those remaining comments.
Questions from Mitch?
Mitch, I got a question about the handicap spaces.
Yes.
You said required 8, but they have 10. Is required 8 include all 3 buildings?
Yes, that is based on the total number of parking spaces they have shown on the site. There's a ratio, and based on that ratio, only 8 are required for ADA.
Okay. No, but I just want to make sure we're including the future buildings.
Yes, that is for everything.
Okay.
Other questions or comments?
Mitch, that area where the generator's gonna go, is that gonna be enclosed?
I believe it's open. The applicant is here, can answer any questions on that, but to the best of my knowledge, it is open space.
Open with a above-ground tank?
From what I understand, it is just a concrete slab to be used if a generator is needed in the future emergencies. It can be brought in, placed on that concrete slab, and left there for the temporary time.
So we wouldn't know if the generator went in, what color that would be and how much that would look if it wasn't in an enclosure. Just something to note.
Yeah, I can probably answer that better than I can.
Okay, come up and give us your name and address, please.
My name is Yates Bateman with Fulmer Lucas Engineering. We're at 2002 Richard Jones Street in Nashville. The generator pad is purely temporary. It is if there's a power outage, in order to not lose food, they will bring in a generator for however long the power's out. So it would not remain there indefinitely. It's there while power's out, they plug it in. Once power's back on, they remove the truck.
They can respond that quickly?
I don't pretend to understand how Sprouts works. Food.
Yeah,
It must be worth it.
Yeah.
Must be worth it.
United
Yeah,
has quite a few.
they actually can, yeah. We did that for a data center outage. We had 4 generators brought in a matter of hours.
Yeah, in Florida, Publix went back and reinstalled generators at all of their facilities.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you.
Okay, anything else for Mitch? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion for the staff comments.
You want the second?
Second.
Motion Mark, second Ken.
Talked about
I didn't know who you were talking to there, Ken.
I don't have it in front of me. Staff comments included getting to
Yeah, design review.
up to 75, okay, yeah.
75
Yeah,
as
they're
well as
1.9 off.
I don't know how you do that.
as well as
Four more bricks.
the landscaping comment as well.
And the landscape,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Our last site plan for the evening is the SRM block plant, Hickory Grove Road, owner, developer, Hollingshead Land LLC.
Yep, this is a site plan that SRM is proposing to construct a 62,350 square foot block plant on Hickory Grove Road, south of the entrance to their quarry. 2 access points are shown to the site, with one off of an access road and a new point of entry from Hickory Grove Road. Half of this just over 8-acre site would be used as a basically a laydown yard or a show area for product, and then the other half would be where their actual building would be located at. Vehicular use area in the site, 1.29 acres, and it does require 4,523 square feet of landscaping, which they are showing for 13,313 square feet. Park required of 46 spaces, which they are showing for, and that does require 2 handicap spaces, which are being shown. The landscape plan shows a berm along Hickory Grove Road, which would be minimum of 2 feet tall and 3 feet wide at the top. The top landscape berm would be a variety of evergreens and ornamental trees. The purpose of this berm is to provide a buffer between Hickory Grove Road and an area on site to be utilized for the product sales and storage. Additional shrubbery is shown along the southern drive aisle into the site with a mixture of trees and shrubbery, and there are trees shown lining the right-of-way to the north of the site as well, which is that access into the quarry. Design review, we did receive updated elevations since packets went out last week, so the elevations that they have submitted for this round do show the building to utilize a mix of glass and concrete tilt panel with metal roll-up doors. The PUD does permit office, retail shops, and other buildings to be a combination of concrete, stone, brick, and cement board siding. So based on the materials that they are showing in the elevations and what the PUD does permit for, they are within the PUD requirements. Standard comments 1 through 6 all remain. Staff comment 1, the site plan approval for this would be contingent upon the approval of the annexation and I-3 zoning request that is being worked through right now. That is the parcel, there's a jagged parcel on the north end of this site, and that is that parcel that is under consideration. Comment number 2 is from the Utilities Department. The water and sewer plans are under review at this time. And number 3, we asked them to show the size of the fire and domestic water lines. The applicant did note that these are to be added at a future time when the plans are more finalized. Number 4, the site is required to detain and treat stormwater. This is a comment that we would like to let our Public Works Department review and address sufficiently, so that comment will remain. Number 5, we asked them to provide a sidewalk along Hickory Grove Road, which is not being shown at this time, so that comment also will remain. Number 6, we asked them to dedicate the right-of-way along Hickory Grove Road 30 feet from the center line. They have shown that, so that comment can be removed. Number 7, the architectural elevations need to be submitted still for the dumpster enclosure and material bins and other structures, showing the height and materials to be utilized. We did have the building be submitted, obviously, so we're still waiting on the dumpster enclosure and material bins. Comment number 8, regarding the landscaping not meeting design review. As mentioned previously, streetscape requirement does require street trees every 40 feet with shrubbery in between. This plan does show that landscape berm with ornamental trees and shrubbery along Hickory Grove Road. The applicant is requesting that as a waiver due to overhead utility lines that are present along Hickory Grove Road. So with the overhead utilities, you can only have certain type of vegetation be planted along that area. So they're hoping with the berm and the additional vegetation and ornamental trees in this area that be considered as a waiver from the traditional design review requirements. Comment number 8, sorry, that was comment number 8. Comment number 9, square footage didn't line up appropriately, so they have addressed that accordingly, can be removed. Number 10, there's a wash down plan for the plant. That was another comment that we're going to let the Utilities Department review as part of their plan review, is comment number 2. Comment number 10, though, we can get rid of, as it is sufficiently addressed with comment number 2, which is remaining. Number 11, the acreage shown on the site is less than the total of the 4 parcels listed. We asked them to provide a survey or proposed plat to combine or re-subdivide the 4 parcels into 1 or 2 tracts. This is to also be recorded prior to issuance of any building permits. So this just goes along with basically the plat must be recorded prior to issuance of any permits to straighten out the parcel lines on the site. Number 12, utilities comment, which has been addressed and can be removed. And then number 13, we asked them to show a meter and backflow size, and that has not been done yet, so that will remain. Comment 6, 9, 10, 11, and 12 have all been addressed, can be removed. With that, staff would recommend approval with those above listed comments. Notably, the outstanding one is the design review waiver that the applicant is still going to be requesting as part of this, and they're here to answer any further questions you may have on that.
Okay. Questions or comments?
So sewer, water, gas is all being ran from Jefferson Pike?
I think it's, Chris, that's right.
Yep. Name and address, please.
Yes, sir. Chris McGuire with Huddleston Steel Engineering, 2115 Northwest Broad Street. We are taking sewer from Hollingshead Circle. We had done a stub out down there. We're going to do a private E1 pump and pump it to that main. We spoke with utilities and don't want to speak for them, but we've for the most part gotten their blessing for that.
Okay.
Water will come off of Hickory Grove Road. There's pretty good capacity since the main's been updated on Jefferson Pike. And as far as gas goes, I'm not positive what's out there or what's going to be required for the site yet. And as far as sizing the fire line and sewer line, we're waiting for mechanical, plumbing, electric plans to be done for the architectural portion of the building, and at that point we'll show the sizing and get it to utilities.
So that main, I guess, runs up the up circle towards his headquarters today? Is that what happens?
It actually, there's a pump station down near the headquarters. There's a large kind of gravel area that's the bottom. And then we ran the gravity main up to Hollingshead Circle and then all the way up the hill towards Hickory Grove Road. And that's where it currently stops.
Yeah, okay.
So the private pump will be your pump? Or their
Correct.
pump?
Correct. It'll be a private pump and force main.
Yeah.
It'll be an E1.
No maintenance on the town's part?
No, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. My biggest question was, I'm not sure what the water requirements are for a block plant, but I didn't know if it was significant or not.
We've discussed it with the client. It's largely bathrooms for employees.
Okay.
I mean, water is not a high use in the production of block. If anything, they're cooking it out.
It's like cinder block is what they're talking about?
It's actually, they've got a product called Decrastone. It's a high-end block that they've done some pretty incredible projects. I went on their website the other day. It's used in like ballparks and stuff like that, where you do traditionally have like that block face, but it's a little bit higher end finishes.
Okay. Anything else for Chris? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else from Mitch on this or any further discussion that needs to be had?
Mitch, you're okay with the waiver? Or are you okay with the waiver on the landscape because of the power lines, or should that be set back some, or what?
It does provide a bit of difficulty, especially with Middle Tennessee Electric having their utility lines. So I see why they are making the waiver request for it. Added the berm as well to try to get a little bit extra height out there, and they are evergreens as well, a mix of some other ornamental trees. So you would have that constant.
In lieu of?
In lieu of a standard street tree, you know, your maples, your elms, things of that nature.
You have a call out for how high that berm will be?
It was minimum of 2 feet tall with a 3 foot wide at the top.
But planting some pretty good trees there?
Yeah. A variety of trees as well.
Anything else? I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with staff comments?
We have a motion to approve with staff comments and a second.
Real quick, staff comments show to meet design review, so if you want to.
To include the waiver?
If you, that's what you'd like to
Include the
do.
waiver in your motion.
Yeah, we'll
He'll amend it.
amend it to include the waiver.
Okay, still the second? Okay. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay, let's see. Next, we have subdivision regulations amendments, section 7-1.01.2, and addition of appendix A.
Yeah, this is something staff is recommending to you, and really for tonight, just for any discussion or answer any questions, we would need to hold a public hearing and all before you vote on it, and we could do that next month. But this is really just for discussion tonight. This is something we're recommending to you, which would basically provide a third alternative for financial surety, which would basically be, currently we require letters of credit or cashier check, like money we hold in escrow. Those are the only two options. This would add the ability for a developer to provide surety in another form suitable to the town attorney. So it would really be up to the town attorney to that. And then it basically would ensure that the town is protected in the event of a developer's failure. The appendix that we're proposing to add is really just an example. We've had several, and I had one just today. A developer asked for it, can you give me a sample letter of credit or something, an example of what you're looking for? And so this would just kind of put this in the regs, what's out there for everybody to see. And so that's really just kind of an appendix that we would be adding to that. Just the information we need for that letter of credit to include. So, and this is just something we as a staff are recommending to you. We've had some internal discussions. I felt like this would be good additions to add to the regs.
So, an alternative. So are we talking about a surety bond? Because I know we have a bond review report, but it's truly not bonds.
It's really not, it's not a surety bond.
It's not a surety bond.
I guess if the town attorney wanted to accept that, they could. Typically, we haven't. That's because we have had issues in the past calling those, when we've had to call them.
So what would be an example of?
So, I'll just speak up. So I was involved in a little bit of this in the last month. And specifically, there was a case where the same situation, someone's trying to build a house. It was going to cost $50,000 to get the water main to the house, to the property. And so putting up the bond affected the ability for them to be able to move forward building their house because they had to put up the $50,000. So it was an individual, not a developer. So what ended up happening was a letter, an agreement between the town and these folks that the town could apply lien to the property so that they could ensure that water main was extended and covered by the builder before that land could ever be exchanged. So it basically was a lien, that a letter where the town could put a lien on the property to ensure this got done, rather than having to basically putting up equity instead of putting up cash.
So that's the alternative.
That's the alternative, yeah.
That was one.
That was one.
This just gives us an extra tool in our toolbox for some of those situations that are not usual. And so to have the ability we thought it needed to be codified if we wanted to be able to use those extra things. The good and the bad is, if the town attorney approves something and it doesn't cover it very well, then I'm going to be in trouble.
The town attorney's responsible.
Yeah, I'm going to be in trouble.
You're going to have to check.
So it's not going to be something that's going to be normal. I think it's just.
It's going to be a very rare case.
It's going to be.
What this showed was that we really didn't have a mechanism in the town for an individual to build on a piece of property that they owned, because everything was really geared towards a development or developer who had, I guess, a company that could provide a bond and no danger of that bond being no good in 10 years, right? Because they're still a company in business. If an individual provides you a bond, it's just a letter of credit saying that they have the access today. There's nothing that said they'll still have it in 5 years.
So we're not opening this up to any type of surety bond, such as a landscape bond or some type of contractor's bond or anything like that, because I'm familiar with these because I write them quite a bit, utility bonds, things like that. And that's a true bond. So we're still saying the letter of credit.
This would allow us to do that if whoever the town attorney is at the time so chooses. But with some of the difficulties that all cities have had with collecting on some of those types of bond. I think this is more of, like in the situation we were discussing of, well, if a lien would satisfy, because then the local government is protected, because at least you've got something solid that you can hook onto for value. And so, like I said, this would not be a normal tool. This is something that would just be available in case we run upon circumstances that call for it.
So if you did place a lien, the only way you're gonna be able to exercise that lien, is if they go to sell or refinance. The 20 years, you could be waiting quite a while.
Well, you could agree to do different types of lien, because they're gonna have to do an agreement to do this.
Okay.
So you can,
Yeah, in this case,
You
there
put a
was no.
time limit on it then.
you can sign all your rights away.
Yeah, and in this particular case, there was no outlay of expense to the town until they tried to develop the property. And so whether it takes them 2 years or 20 years, doesn't cost the town anything. It's just guaranteed that they're gonna get their money whenever they try to do
Someday.
something. Yeah.
Someday, yeah.
There was no the town's not putting the money up front.
Mhm.
So there's no real loss or risk, except for now they just have a guarantee.
So,
Again, no actions required tonight.
that was just a discussion.
It's really for discussion. Like I said, we'll advertise for public hearing and everything, and have a public hearing and then a vote the next meeting.
Okay.
Good idea, Kevin.
All right. Let's see, next we have mandatory referral Imperial Boulevard water line extension.
Yeah, this is a project the town is undertaking. We need to obtain easements for an extension of a 16-inch water main along Imperial Boulevard to Rock Springs Road. This would extend the existing 16-inch line at the north end of Imperial Boulevard and connect it to the 6-inch line at the intersection of Rock Springs Road and Imperial Boulevard. This is part of the improvements being made to increase fire flow in the older part of town. We did include a map that showed kind of the location of those, where the easements would be, as well as a spreadsheet that showing the property ownership and the amount of each easement to be acquired. Planning Commission is required to review the obtaining of these easements and find whether or not it is in keeping with the adopted comprehensive plan of the town and make a recommendation to council. Staff would recommend approval.
Okay.
Is that easement along the street? That's a private road there, right?
No, that's a public street.
It is?
It is a public
Okay.
street, yeah, but it would be along along that right of way.
Do you know if there's any improvements to that road planned?
No road
Okay.
improvements.
Just
This would
while you were digging? Okay.
This is just, yeah, obviously if there's any damage that happens, obviously we'll fix that, but no, there's no improvements
Okay,
planned
got it.
at this time.
All of that section 1 was approved for commercial, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
that whole area, that one parcel that's there was all approved, and they're not developing that. We're kind of somewhat waiting on this because the fire flow is not there yet, so, yeah. And this is part of an overall project for the whole downtown area. There's a lot of development downtown that can't occur currently because the fire flow is not there to meet fire code, so.
So this would be, you're requesting, okay, to procure the easement on that private property?
Yes, this
Yeah,
is
you're
just,
making a
right,
positive
for the
recommendation.
town to purchase or property or easements, the planning commission has to make the recommendation for public improvements and purchase the property, so.
Okay. Anything else? I entertain a motion.
Move to approve, staff comments.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second to approve this recommendation to council. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. And then we have another mandatory referral, unimproved ROR. I'm thinking, I'm back in the insurance world. Yeah, ROW. Is that right away?
Right-of-way description, yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Right-of-way.
Description between lots 24 and 25 preserve at Stewart's Creek.
Yeah, this is a request that we're looking at. We've had requests from the Homeowners Association of the Preserve at Stewart's Creek neighborhood for this little piece of property. The request is to quitclaim this right-of-way to become a part of the common area of the neighborhood. This right-of-way was dedicated as a part of the development of the neighborhood to connect potentially to an existing county road, Milesdale Lane, if it ever were needed. It was not required, it was approved as part of the development to be dedicated, but not required to be built. And so it was never built, so it's just open area, open space. It was basically the HOA now has basically would like to obtain ownership of it and make it usable as an amenity for the neighborhood. CUD does have a water line within this right of way, so that we'll need a 30-foot easement will need to be dedicated for that water line. We did show you the recorded plat in your packet as well as a legal description of the property. So again, the planning commission is required to review the disposition of this property and find whether or not it's in keeping with the adopted comprehensive plan of the town and make a recommendation to the council. Staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this right-of-way request? Not hearing anything, so I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor of making a positive recommendation on this mandatory referral to council, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay. We're on to the bond review report.
All right, I'll go through this as quickly as I can here. First one is Hidden Hills, Section 6, Phase 1. They are about 2/3 built out. They did request an extension, and we would recommend a 6-month extension on that one. We have had it about 3 years now, it's developing a little slowly, but would recommend a 6-month extension there. Buckingham Place, Section 1, Phase 2. They are final 2 items there, and developers assured me that he's working on that. If they get that done by the 16th, we could release it. Otherwise, a 3-month extension there. Same situation on Woodcrest 3. Again, 1 item. I think he's trying to knock that out. So hopefully we can release that one as well. Burton Farm, Section 6. This is the end of the maintenance period on that one. I did not hear back from the developer on there. He's usually pretty quick to return my calls. He did not this time. Again, this is the end of the maintenance period. Mainly some as-built and just final cleanup items left. Would recommend release if that's done by the 22nd of August, which is when it expires. Otherwise, extend it 3 months. Buckingham Hills, there are a few items there. The amenity package has not been put in there on that one, so we still need to hang on to this one until they get that done. The other items they are working on to clean up, so we really need to extend that one 3 months. I know they're not going to get that done by the 23rd. Quinn Farms, I do want to clarify and change this one a little bit. Staff did initially recommend calling this bond. The developer, Mr. King primarily has been working with the developer as far as guardrail work on that bridge there. The town also has some work that we're going to be doing on the bridge. And so that's not the developer's responsibility, and there was no movement on this being done. In the intervening week, since we contacted them and let them know we're going to recommend calling the bond, some movement happened, and basically what is coming is in lieu of us calling this letter of credit, The developer, we are going, the town, I believe it was October, is that right, Charles? Yeah, so we're looking to bid this project in October. Once we get a bid and we know what this, we're going to include what they're required to do in the bid, we're going to basically send them a bill for that amount of money. So they will be funding that portion of the project still, but then we'll just the town will take care of the whole project, but then they'll, with their money, in lieu of calling the bond. So, comment 3 on that has been fixed. I did hear from Mr. Rose on that has been done, so we can remove comment 3. They still need to clean up 1 and 4 that would be covered by the bond, and we would just keep this bond until at such time as the bid is made and we receive their check to hold in escrow. So, and that would replace the bond in that regard. Helmsley Place, this is again just cleaning up the final punch list items on this. Would recommend a release on that one, as it is at the end of the maintenance period, again, if they finish those items prior to August 30th. The rest of these are all Blakeney, various versions of Blakeney. The first one, Blakeney Section 3, Phase 1, that is one that's about 73% built out, so they still have several lots in there. Would recommend a 6-month extension on that one. The rest of them, which I think is 4 different phases, are all at the end of the maintenance period. They all expire in September, early September. All those would again have the same recommendation as some of the others, that we can release if everything gets done by those dates. Otherwise, a 3-month extension. All 4 of those, they had insisted 3 months ago that they would have everything done within the 3 months. So hopefully they'll make that done, make those dates. So, and with those changes, staff would recommend the bond report to you.
Okay. Questions on the bond report? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the
Have
bond
a-
review report.
I have a motion to approve.
Enthusiastic second.
And a second. Motion to approve and a second the bond review report. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving the bond review report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The bond review report is approved. Staff comments or other business?
The only thing I would, as I did forward an email to you all earlier today, there is an opportunity for some online, a Zoom class that MTAS is doing for planning, geared towards planning officials. That's next Thursday from 4 to 6. If you all would like to be a part of that, just let us know. We'll get you registered and pay for it. It's not a very expensive class, but we would pay for it. So if you would like us to sign you up, just let us know before, I guess, probably Wednesday or so. Probably we need to know by then. So I guess that's all I got.
Okay. Yes, Charles.
I wanted to inquire about the development immediately to the west of the YMCA.
Okay.
I was working out yesterday, walking the track with a 94-year-old retired Marine aviator, and we rounded the corner very slowly. And the development, it looks like they've done a clear cut. And he was quite taken aback by that. And I told him I would inquire as to whether they were in full compliance with our regulations and their development approval. You don't need to answer now.
Yeah, well, I'll have to look into it. I don't know the answer to it right now, but that's something that would be Public Works as part of their grading permits. All that's been issued at this point. So, but I certainly will follow up.
Are those going to be apartments?
Those are it's kind of conventional apartments as well as townhomes, but it is an all for rent project. Yeah, has been zoned that way for years. So I'll look into that and let you know.
Thank you.
Anything else? We stand adjourned.